Kלים Mishnah Aleph. I think that this Mishnah needs a little bit of an introduction. We've dealt with Tanur and Kira and Klicheres in general, so we're used to the concept of a Klicheres having a toich. And we know that means that if a sheretz is suspended in the toich of a Klicheres, then that is metame the Klicheres. And hu adin if the Klicheres is already tame, and Oichlin and Mashkin are tolui ba'avir of the Klicheres, Oichlin and Mashkin pick up tumah from the Klicheres that way. So we have the concept of tumah being in a space, bit similar to the idea of a tumas mace in an oil. But it's very important to actually be able to contrast these two things. In other words, to be able to contrast the tumah of a sheretz in the avir, in the toich of a klicheres, and the tumah of a mace inside an oil. They're both tumahs that work without negia and seem to be able to spread through the environment. The first thing to understand is that there is an essential difference between the concept of a klicheres and an oil. An oil, for tumas meis, is when you have a horizontal surface known as the gag of the oil, and it has to have a certain shear. The gag of the oil must be a tefach by a tefach, and it must have a height. It must be a gag of an oil over a space of a tefach height. In other words, there is in it a cubic tefach of cholol, of space underneath it. Then that's called an oil. However, a klicheres has nothing to do with a horizontal ceiling, a horizontal surface. It's a concept of a kli with a toich. In fact, the kli may be sitting on its base, and it may not have a ceiling or a gag at all. And the tumah of the sheretz still is able to travel through that space and be metame the kli around it. So that's contrast number one. Another important difference is that when dealing with a sheretz and a klicheres, the tumah of the sheretz is confined to the klicheres itself. It cannot move from one klicheres to another klicheres. So if, for instance, you had two klicheres against each other, their openings against each other, the sheretz in klicheres A will be metame klicheres A, but that tumah does not travel across into klicheres B. The sheretz is only able to be metame the klicheres in which it finds itself. However, tumas meis, we know, can actually travel from oil to oil, through doors, through windows, and can go on ad infinitum. A third major difference is that with a mace, it's considered that the oil is kamanda malia tumah domi. The mace fills up and expands through the whole oil. And anything caught in the oil, it's as if it has touched the mace itself. The mace becomes large and expands. However, with the klicheres, the sheretz in the klicheres, the sheretz is not considered to fill up the klicheres. All the sheretz is able to do, this is the way a sheretz is metame a klicheres, by being inside its toich. When it is inside its toich, it's as if it has touched the klicheres. In other words, any other oichlin umashkin which happens to find itself in the klicheres at the same time as the sheretz is, do not pick up tumah from the sheretz. They pick up tumah from the klicheres. And therefore it is irrelevant whether the sheretz is there or the sheretz has already been taken out. We don't say the sheretz is kamanda mali tumah domi. The klicheres is kamanda mali tumah domi. The sheretz does not expand, does not fill up the space of the klicheres, thus being metame anything else in its wake. And the fourth comparison or contrast between the way mace, tumas mace, works through an oil and the way sheretz works through a klicheres is going to be